Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stuart. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
You're looking good.
Oh, dude, I actually got a pretty good night's sleep. I mean, it's early in the morning, but yeah, my kids I slept well last night. It was good. We have my sister in town, and she's got her two kids, and so it's just like mass chaos in our house all day long. With four kids in our house under the age of six, and there's always like crying and you know complaining or whining or something going on, but there's also
So to
this,
be clear,
yeah,
what is the source of the crying and the whining complaint? Is that you and Crystal, or is that the kids?
uh, both, yes.
Good, good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, most of it comes from my son because he's a boy and he just loves to pick on all of his cousins and sister, and you know, he's typically the one like taking toys or hitting or kicking or pulling hair or something like that. But dude, I tell you what, we got this thing called the Nugget. Have you heard of the Nugget?
I've never heard of this nugget thing.
It's dude, it's like the simplest thing. It's like a there's just like couch pillows basically, but like you can fold them up. There's like two triangles and then like two squares, but you can fold up the squares and you can make like different shapes and climby things and like you can just make anything you want. Hours, hours of playtime. Like
The nugget.
they're just like couch pillow things, and
Hmm.
you can fold them up. You can make little like slides and climby things and jumpy things. And dude, four kids, probably 2 hours worth of play, um, and it like wears them out. They were just getting creative and making different things. It was awesome. Actually, I posted it last night on our new Facebook page. By the way, everybody that's listening, we have a new Facebook private group for filling the storehouse. Just kind of focuses on more of faith, family, and financial freedom stuff. So if you're listening to this, go join us. It's yeah, we're trying to just kind of grow the tribe and the community.
Yeah,
But
man. It's
anyways,
awesome. I just typed in the nugget into my telephone
yeah,
so that I can look at it later because that sounds awesome.
yeah, dude.
Sounds awesome.
I posted the link on the Facebook page. So anyways, go check that out. And there's
That's
no
awesome.
affiliate whatsoever with it. We should maybe we should get an affiliate with the Nugget because the thing is also
Yeah, because all these people with young kids, it's yeah, need the distraction in something that takes a couple hours would be amazing.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, that was a long intro to your question, but all that sound good, man. How about you?
Yeah, dude, good. I think we should, just to be real for a couple minutes, I think we should do a future podcast on, and maybe even a couple podcasts as we look to transition out of the military. I think a lot of times when we look around and at other folks, especially those transitioning, we think that they may either they have it all figured out or or they're just a complete train wreck. And I think, just being honest, I think we're somewhere in between. Just with the visions that we have for business, obviously that's a great place to be. But the reality of running businesses and having them be able to support your family with the regularity of paychecks that we're used to receiving for the last 20 years, I think there's just a lot there. And I've been thinking a lot about that recently, think about when I'm going to move my family. Just a lot of conversations about we're blessed enough to have a house in Colorado that we're going back to, so that's one element of it that's kind of removed. But when does my family go? When do I go? Do I get skill bridge? Do I not get skill bridge? Are they gonna you know let me do my change of command early, late, like what, all these things that are just they're all stressors. And I think it's important to highlight that as people transition, some of that one, people are in the same boat as you may be, but the others, and so you have a support network and you can have people to talk with, fellowship with, bounce ideas off of. But two is that people are struggling with it, right? and
Yeah,
and and to appropriately set yourself up and do the right things to enable the transition, because it's significant, especially for people like us who have been in for 20 years. I mean, that's a lifetime for some of our sailors, and so I think it'll be a good podcast, future podcast.
That's good. That's a good point, man. Well, and we've had some comments, from people within our network. They're like, "Man, you guys are doing it right. You're setting up your transition plan. You're setting up your mission, your purpose, and you have all this kind of stuff set up. It's going to be an easy transition for you." But as you and I have just kind of been talking this morning, like, still, I'm nervous about it. I'm nervous about what the future looks like, and definitely there's times where it brings a little bit of anxiety, and um, you know I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine. Uh, First, there's lots of people that have no clue what they want to do, have done
Right.
zero planning, and just like one day you're still active military, and then the next day you're not, and you have nothing to move forward with, and that's scary. And
Yeah.
I think that's why you and I are trying to build this thing you know so much, and putting so much time and attention to it. But even with what we've set up so far, I'm still very nervous about that transition. So
Yeah. And
lots
I
to
think
think
the
about.
advantage that you and I do have is that there is no waffling on whether or not we would want to stay in. And I think that's because we've firmly established our identities outside the Navy. We have spent a ton of time to address the very real human element, and I think that's huge. I think people they downplay that quite a bit, right? I think they downplay the emotional impact that taking the uniform off and changing, overnight. You're a civilian now. You're not part of that fraternal, um, you know, combat in arms type environment, and you're not part of that group anymore on a day-to-day basis, right? You're retired. RET is after your signature block if you continue to use your rank in your signature block. um but and people do that, right? And I look at that stuff and I'm like, man, that's an identity struggle. To me, right? I'm not judging, I'm not being pejorative in any way. It's just I see things. I see that is part of a struggle, and that's one thing I'm very comforted that's not necessarily a huge part of the struggle, but the reality of life after that. So I think there's a lot of food for thought. I think there's a lot of material there as folks look to transition, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to that future podcast too. But I'm really excited about this podcast as well.
Yeah.
And the branding that we recently went through, and Jimmy's help. We're gonna hopefully have Jimmy on. He's just being crushed by helping other people brand, because it's such an important thing. It's an important part of a business, and so I'm excited to talk through what we recently did with our brand.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if anybody has noticed yet, but we just kind of changed things up. We kind of redesigned our website. We redesigned our brand, our logo, on all of our social media stuff, and we just kind of just did it without telling anybody. But now we're wanted to kind of explain a little bit of what we did, why we did it, how we did it, because we feel it's important, and we didn't really understand the importance of it at first. As we kind of started the business, we didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I am blessed that my bride um, is very talented in that arena to begin with. She's a graphic designer by trade, and she works on websites, and she does a lot of that stuff. She's been really good at helping us out. And when we started this company, I just kind of was like, "Hey, can you help us make a logo?" And we gave her like very little input, and she kind of just did something for us because she's talented enough to do that. And so for the first 3 years, basically the design and the website and the color schemes and all that kind of stuff was just her with zero input. Like we even were like, hey, just make a logo for us. And she kind of just came up with some stuff and we just picked one, which was great. It's been awesome. But there was very little thought and input into it. So yeah, so then Dave, talk about kind of what kind of got you thinking about it, and then talk about how the graphic designer that we chose.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things that go into a logo and a symbol, or a brand. And it just started, I think it started hitting me as I was just looking at different organizations and different, I mean, when you look at uh, these classic companies like Apple, for example, pops into my head, the little apple with the symbol. But that symbol transcends, it means something. It causes people to feel a certain way. And I think, for me, it was, as I was looking at our core values, and when we say we put very little thought, we put little thought into the actual logo, right?
Yeah.
We actually, I think we put a good amount of thought, but we didn't have we just weren't very good at it. Some of the things, I don't know if you remember, some of the early drawings we were doing, it's just not a strength of mine. And so, and unfortunately, what we gave Crystal was not a lot of depth and meaning of the other thought that had gone into our core values and our why.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, when I was looking around and just the way I was feeling about our symbol, I wanted it to be something that was important to us and that would resonate. And if you saw it on a t-shirt or a hat or whatever, you'd be able to, at least we'd be proud of it, and it would be very meaningful to us, and there'd be a lot of thought that went into it. Excuse me. So I know a guy, we were friends with a family, and he's a graphic designer, and this is what he does for a living. And so I just reached out to him, this is Jimmy. And I was like, hey man, we just have this feeling that we want something that captures and it more embodies, the things that are important to us in our business. And we just think it'd be cool to have a professional take a stab at it. And so I just asked him if he would just take a look and kind of put some thoughts together. And so he did. And I'll tell you, we're going to get into the specifics, but the way he does it, and really his you and I decided that we were willing to spend on hiring a professional. And again, your wife obviously is an amazing professional. She's got a lot going on, right? We weren't giving her a ton. You got the kids at home. She's doing this home thing, COVID, like all this stuff. And she can't dedicate the time that Jimmy, could do, because this is literally how they put food on the table.
Yeah.
So his time is spent doing this. So he has the capacity he has to make the capacity because it pays the bills. And so, in our minds, we're like, okay, let's hire a professional to help this vision come to life. And we're willing to do that. And really it comes down to value. Do we value, do we put enough importance on the value that people bring that really it's their livelihood to do this type of stuff? Were we willing to pay somebody to help us visualize our why and to be able to put it on paper and digitally to enable us to go forward? And the answer was yes. And Jimmy brings a ton of value. And I'll tell you, I was surprised not only at the logo, but at the thought he put behind it, which we'll get into that process, and why it was so important. And I think there's a value proposition here that's really important. I think as folks are developing their businesses, I think we should be willing to bring in other professionals to help us to professionalize and really refine our businesses. And even hire out the things that, you're not a super creative dude, right? Like, you can't draw well,
Yeah.
right? I don't draw well. I don't, these are not things. I do not put the amount of thought he put into it. Like, these are not skills that I have. So we hired it out. And I tell you, we not one time did we discuss any kind of buyer's remorse or anything like that, because we love the final product. So
Yeah.
and again, it's networking, right? It's going back to networking and the people in your circle. Sometimes we just are hesitant to be vulnerable and talk to folks that have skill sets and just be like, hey dude, I'm horrible at this, you seem like you're awesome, let's have a conversation. And you never know what can happen when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we spent a lot of time, and we've talked about this on previous podcasts, but we've spent a lot of time kind of developing, evaluating, refining our why, our mission, our purpose. We do, the um, every single year we kind of look at that and do the BTO traction and kind of write it all down, and it really drives our decision making. But um, you know, that's all important to us, and because of that, just like you said, like leveraging people that can help you really, really even define that vision more, is critical. And I think there just that mindset of having people help you, and leveraging professionals to help you in that arena is huge. And I think it's powerful when you can kind of overcome that mindset of trying to just do everything on the cheap and on your own.
Yeah, 100%. And I also think that we recognize through, social media, brand, all this kind of stuff, that if we actually have, um, so our why drives our decision making process, right? But it also, if we have these things that help our investors, future investors, or partners, or clients and customers, help them to understand and know who we are better before we even pick up the phone and have a conversation, or in any of the initial interactions. I mean, that's pretty critical, right? So if you have something that embodies, like at a quick glance, you have something that embodies better who you are, what your values are. I mean, this is just a culture today, right? We're in a Twitter, click 2-minute video, listen to news type environment. I just want snippets. Well, if you have a desire for people to at least understand who you are before make the commitment to have a conversation, I think there's a ton of power in that, and just getting that baseline, because people are gonna, I research before I actually talk to somebody. I'll kind of look at who they are, research them, look at Better Business Bureau or whatever, to get a sense, and so it's important to have it's important to have something that embodies who you are, and so that was kind of a starting point as well.
Yeah.
And what was cool is what we gave him, and you can get into kind of the questionnaire, but what we gave him we didn't have a ton of back and forth, which was very encouraging.
Yeah.
We didn't have a ton of back and forth with him because I think he saw pretty quickly our why, the things that were important to us, and then he was able to work off of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it started with, he basically just sent us a questionnaire of things that, what we could kind of give him some input to get started. And just the questionnaire alone, I thought it was awesome, man. Like it kind of forced you to really think a little bit more. And a lot of the stuff we had already thought about, but there were some questions in there where like, I, I don't know what do we align with. And so I'll just hit a couple questions that are just a little bit different. And um, one of the questions was, if your brand was a celebrity, who would it be? And at first, David and I kind of struggled with that, right? But it really kind of makes you think, and kind of puts that branding to words, in the form of a personality. So do you remember what we said?
Well, we had a couple, right?
Yeah.
I think ours were a little bit different, but I know, I consider people like Rick Warren celebrities, famous authors, so that was one. We were more went on the route of, the Bill Gates and those folks, and more because of their focus on not only they faith based, but also with Rick Warren specifically, but with Bill Gates, it was more the philanthropical side, the giving, but also like the just cutting edge drive. So
kind of
folks like
changing the
that
world.
trying to change the world through the using their business. And Rick Warren, I think is a through the things that he's done, is a pretty phenomenal businessman. That dude can make some money, right? But he turns around and gives it almost all away.
Yeah.
And what an awesome model. So those are some of the people that we chose.
Yeah. Another one that the question was brands that you admire and you align with, and who you kind of emulate. I thought that was some pretty interesting one, and kind of the big brands that we went with. One of them was Chick-fil-A. Just the faith base behind that. It's just a well-known, really, really good company. Closed on Sundays because of their Christian upbringing, and just always serving. That's like their entire motto. You go into a Chick-fil-A store, and it's just immediately you kind of feel that presence of the employees wanting to help and serve you. So that one really aligned well.
And we love the action behind, the what some people call sacrifice. I imagine I don't know, well, I should know because we have a bunch of friends who own Chick-fil-A's.
Yeah.
But I imagine that in that industry, Sunday is probably a pretty huge day to make money, even especially from like the church crowds, right? People go to church, they come out and they go eat with their families, friends, whatever. And the fact that they're closed, that puts action to conviction. And I think that, that's something that we really strive to do, is put action to conviction, not just be a company that uses a lot of words and talks about how awesome they could be. Actions speak louder than words every day of the week. So we love that too.
Yeah. I think the other one we put was Southwest Airlines. I think that was kind of similar thing. It's really, really about being all about service and giving.
Right.
And so, with a company like ours, where relationships are super important, and that customer service piece with everyone that we work with is super important to us.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of questions, not a ton, but there's some good questions about just like words that describe your brand, personalities, things that typical like knuckleheads like us, like we wouldn't really think about when you're trying to kind of build this brand out. So I thought it was that process alone was really good, and kind of got your mind thinking about what this business is all about. So I just wanted to touch on that a bit.
No, it's awesome. And one of the things that he did, and we'll jump into it here, is he broke down his thought process behind it, which I thought was incredible. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated it. And he started, big, why he chose a monogram, and then kind of went down from there. And so, just some quick highlights on the monogram. One of the things that he noted as he was researching other companies in our space is that in which we had originally did as well, is there's always like a house graphic, and there's something with a house, or it's built into a house, whatever the case may be. And again, we did the same exact thing, right? Because it seems to make sense.
Yeah.
And he, his words were, hey, that tends to get stale, forced, and it's just an overused symbol. And I was like, yeah, man, I love that. It makes sense, and concur 100%. And so when he went with the monogram itself, he stated that his goal was to get away from the norm and create something that's just a bit different. But also he was forward thinking, right? He wanted to create a mark that was flexible and that could scale in the digital world. And regardless of what direction we went with the business, if at some point we change our focus and say Storehouse becomes whatever, something else, or we just change the way that we do business in the turnkey realm, or any of these things that we decide. The symbol, not only is it symbolic of who we are, but the logo could continue to allow for growth, right? It can allow for growth. It's flexible, and so he thought the best way to achieve that was through a monogram, which I think is brilliant. I mean, I would not. Again, it's not, when I pictured, I had no idea what the logo would look like. Probably
Yeah.
something with a house,
Yeah.
but 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 I knew I wanted something that would be um symbolic of what's important to us. And so, like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, is it like a Spartan's helmet, or is it, something military? Is it an anchor that can, be multi use, like Navy and service, and it anchors you to the ground, faith, like all these things, right, pop in my head. But I'm like, I'm a knucklehead, right? So nobody's going to hire me to help them brand. But he just thought of it differently, and was like, no, a monogram is a way to go because of this. And I was just like, man, that's awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
for explaining that to me. That's
Yeah.
great.
I'm a dum dum. Thank you for dumbing it down for me.
I'm a dum dum. You're the man.
Yeah. So,
Awesome.
if people haven't noticed the change, go back now and take a look at what that monogram looks like. But it's very simple, and it's just a simple S with an H. But he broke it down just like David talked about. So let's start with the H. From Storehouse. The H, he basically broke it into pillars, pillars on the legs and of the H. And he did this really intentionally because he what stuck out to him the most, on our business, on our website, that he saw ahead of time, was our core values. We're very upfront about it. We talk about it all the time. We try to put those core values into action, and and so we broke down the H in four pillars to represent our four core values: service, giving, integrity, and laughter. And he said that, a lot of times when he's working with people that are kind of building their brand, he has to really kind of pry that out of his clients. But for us, they stood out immediately, and he really didn't even have to like ask, because they were so present, and that we were so confident in what our team stood for and what our company stood for, that he thought that was paramount into including that into the monogram and into our logo. Um, so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and dude, like, I mean, I would love to say, we've been claiming credit for people's work for 20 years in the military with our fit reps, right? And I would love to, claim, yeah, it's exactly why we thought of four
Yeah.
pillars. But like, the fact that he came up with that, I just thought was really cool, man. He's like, yeah, you guys have four core values. They're super important to you. It's super obvious to me, that your business is built on these things, and this is how you guys try to live. So I'm just going to go ahead and separate the two legs into four distinct pillars, and they represent your four core values. I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, of course, exactly. That was my thought
Yep.
process too.
Yep.
Yeah, not even close, dude. Like, not even close, man. But it was awesome that he came up with that, and so that's, when you look at the new logo, the H is intentionally broken up in those four pillars. I think that's pretty cool. And then, as he described the S, he called it the bridge, right? The bridge was the prominent factor of the S. And one of the things that he said, that it was obvious to him, other than our core values, it was obvious to him that next to those, the most important thing in our business is connection. And so in his mind, a bridge is the embodiment of connection, right? And so he said that, just by talking to us and reading the questionnaire and going through his process, that it was obvious that connection between us and our clients both being investors, but our clients are also tenants who live in these houses that we redo, right? It's important to us to create um, beautiful homes that people can be proud of and want to stay in for years and years, because that's better for the tenant and it's better for our investors long term, which is key. we said the connection between those factors, and then the connection between our investors and their future. Like that's something that is a focus for us, is connecting our investors with a future, hopefully financial independence, right? And time independence to be able to achieve their highest and best. So he was like, yep, that those things are super important to you guys. So I think of a bridge. And then he also said that the bridge of giving, that was very obvious that our company is focused on giving, and not only giving opportunities, but giving people safe, beautiful places to live, as I mentioned, and just that giving was such a was is such a huge focus in what we do. And so he felt that those things needed to be represented in the logo. And so, of course, again, because he's a ninja, he felt that the best way to do that. So the middle stroke of the S. So as you draw an S, the middle stroke, which is also the horizontal bar of the H, he arched it and symbolized that bridge and connection that Storehouse is built upon, which I just thought was so cool, man. Like when I originally looked at it, and that's, we recognize that this stuff is not going to be immediately apparent to folks when they look at it. They might just think, oh, it's a cool monogram. It's got, the way that they did that, whatever. But the fact that he put so much thought and meaning into it, for us, was hugely important. And when you see it, you're like, man, yeah, I love it. That's exactly that's perfect for us.
Yeah. And what we can do maybe is post, maybe take like little snippets of his explanation. We can post that maybe on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, to kind of show how he broke it out and explained it. And that was really cool. And then he even dove into the colors.
He did.
Again, a bunch of knuckleheads just were like, I like blue, maybe blue and gray together.
We're in the Navy. Maybe
Yeah.
a blue and gold thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be
Cool. But so he kind of dove into the colors and kind of changed the color schemes around, to where now we do have blue, but he added this like mint green, which I think is a really cool color. And so blue, mint green, and yellow. And he kind of explained, what those colors kind of symbolize and mean. And I'll just kind of read, some words that kind of explain the color. So for blue, it's a real confident color. And it kind of embodies trust and faith. But it also embodies stability and structure. And so that's kind of the base of our business is trust, faith, stability. So that's kind of like the main background there on the logo. And then he did a green, but he didn't want to do just green like because of the color of money. But green represents growth. And so he did a mint green that was more organic and symbolizes the growth of our business and us as people. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Would you have come up with mint green?
No, not at all.
Mint green. Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, throw some mint green in there.
Yeah. No. And then yellow. And there's not a ton of yellow on our website, but and there's some yellow kind of embodied in there that really shows clarity and optimism and happiness. And yellow is a color of energy. And so for us, laughter again that's one of our core values. And so being optimistic, being happy, super important to us. And that's kind of, again, the brand and the feeling of our company. So I just thought it was really cool, man, just kind of breaking all that stuff down. We have never thought about any of that stuff.
No. And I also thought it was cool how, we took a bunch of time, and like, I'm a words guy, right? I talk a lot, talk too much. Some would say.
You do.
I like to write. I like to read. I'm an English major. And so we took a ton of time, like putting things in writing. So on our website, there's things, you know, when we write our core values, the way we write them out, the way we write out our commitments, you know, and then somewhere in there, and I remember us talking about this and thinking about these like one-liners and things that are important to us, right? To help remind us. And so he pulled out the never settle, always serve. And in one of the logos, he surrounded with Storehouse 310 and wrote never settle, always serve. And I just thought that was a cool touch too, man, just to kind of round out the you know, to border the logo, but with something meaningful. And you know, he pulled that out of, he didn't ask for that. Like that was just something that he pulled from the, I don't know if it's from the website or what, but you know, it was just, he had some ninja skills and it was really cool. And I tell you, I was humbled. I was completely humbled by the process, but I was also super proud that he was able to embody a logo based on what we say is important, and then him seeing and looking and kind of delving into the business and us knowing each other, and there being an element of him knowing that we do what we say. And I think that's important. I think that's important because again, this isn't always rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and, or what do we say? Rainbow pooping unicorns.
Unicorns pooping rainbows.
Pooping rainbows. It's not always that, right? Like we had some, just recently we've had some tough conversations, and we took some actions that we felt for us were important for Stu and for David. It wasn't about an unhappy client. It wasn't about that unhappy client's desires and what he wanted or expected from the process, because ultimately, you know, it would be very easy in certain situations, it'd be very easy to say, hey dude, this is real estate investing, like, and it's coronavirus, right? Like you can always go back to that with struggles in today's environment, and particularly with investments. So this individual just wasn't really happy, but we talked about it. I'm more of like the bit hot-headed reactionary dude, and then I speak and then think. You're more of like the harmonizers we've discussed in the past, and we just took a step back, took a deep breath. We talked about it. We talked about what's important to us, and then we took an action that was based on what you and I felt was right for us. The industry would not have done that, and I'm not patting our backs at all. But at the end of the day, this stuff drives our actions. This stuff is, we do the things we do because it is who we are. And that's the way we believe our business honors God and honors who we are as individuals. And it has to be that way. And so I think all this kind of culminates in a business that you have to spend the time to think about this stuff before something bad ever happens.
Yeah.
And so this logo and this new branding embodies that. And I was super stoked with what Jimmy came up with, and looking forward to making some hats and t-shirts as well.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool,
man. Yeah. And another piece that I'll add, that, you know, for those that are starting businesses, and, you know, eventually as you build a team, and, you know, if you have employees and people that are working with you and partners, I think it's really important that everybody that is working with you on building and growing a company, a business, also knows, you know, what this means. And, you know, first thing we did was, you know, we shared it with our team, and we said, hey, this is what we're about. This is who we are. This is our mission. This is our purpose. This is our brand. And to get the team behind you and see it and have that same vision and have that same mission and purpose, is invaluable. Like it is huge and super, super important to kind of really building a team out and building a business, to ensure that everybody on that team knows where you stand with that.
Yeah, man. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. Yeah. So looking forward to having Jimmy on. We'll, once we have him on, we'll kind of, you know, put links to how to get to him, his website, stuff that he's done, for those out there looking to potentially rebrand. And we just encourage you to, it may take a bit more money to do something like we did, but you're going to get some serious thought put into it. You're going to get probably a pretty cool logo at the end of it. And yeah, man, just look for the value in others that they can bring to your business. Look how you can add value. And when those two propositions kind of come together, there's some magic that can happen.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Good stuff. It was a fun process.
If anyone's interested, we'll absolutely connect you with Jimmy. If you're wanting to kind of do that same process for your brand, for your logo, your business, we would love to connect Jimmy to you. So
for sure.
What else, man? You got anything else?
Nobody.
Yeah. So we'll post. Obviously the logo and the new look is up, and it's on our website. It's kind of on our social stuff, but we'll post we'll kind of take some snippets of the brand design and kind of the explanation behind that. We'll kind of post it throughout this week on our social platforms. Take a look at that. And then if you haven't gone and signed up for our private Facebook group that's specific to the podcast, it's called Filling the Storehouse Podcast Facebook group. And we'd love to have you guys join us. It's just another way to connect with people within our network and grow the tribe. And it's not really necessarily talking about real estate, but more, our podcast itself is really more about, serving, giving, leadership, faith, family, and financial freedom, all that kind of stuff. There's a ton of different topics in there. And so we'd love for people to join us there and engage in conversations and help each other grow. So yeah, go join that. David is a huge fan of Facebook. So you'll probably see lots of posts from him in that group.
Tons. Like I can't post enough throughout the day. Yeah. I wish I would have thought about it, because I think a great post would have been when I signed back into Facebook. It just makes me laugh that, I don't know, 11 years and 10 months or whatever it was since you last logged in. I should have screenshotted that, but those are 11 happy years, my friend. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's great,
man. Well, I hope someone got something out of this. It's important to us, so that's why we kind of wanted to talk about it. And yeah, hit us up. Love to help. Kind of put you in that direction if you're interested in going that way. We greatly appreciate everybody giving us reviews. If you could go on, give us some more reviews. We're looking for those 5 stars.
Those 5 stars.
Wants those 5 stars. Subscribe to the podcast, and then tell somebody about it. We would greatly appreciate it if maybe you took a screenshot, posted on your social media, or just tagged some people, or just told some people, hey, come listen to these knuckleheads Stu and Dave talk about dumb stuff. But yeah.
I think people expect every time you open your mouth, something dumb might come out. Like, do you think they're surprised, like when you come out with some depth or something good? Do you think people are like, oh, dang, didn't expect that. Rewind, back 10 seconds, back 10 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, You guys have an amazing day, amazing week. And most importantly, go fill your storehouse.
Yes, sir. Make it a great day.
See ya.
See ya.